Alright, so one thing that we're going to talk about is meters, and not the meters that we use to measure with, but meters like the one next to me. So there are really three main types of meters that you're going to find on the outside of your house, and this one is a gas meter. You can tell by the type of, in this case we would call it like plumbing pipe used to feed it in. And I'm going to pause the video and try to move the camera and get really close in on the dials so you can see what they actually say there. Some fun math involved. Alright, so not a good spot for my tripod to work, but you can see here the whole thing is labeled in cubic feet down at the bottom right. You would see then the two dials right next to that are 1/2 of a foot and 2 feet. And you'll notice they actually have arrows on them to show you the direction that these dials are going to rotate. And you'll find that it's interesting because some of them are counterclockwise, some of them are clockwise. Right, so then on the top dials, if you notice that there's millions, 100,000s, 10,000s, and 1,000s, that's to work down your accuracy, right? So if we actually want to count this number, it will be between 1 and 2 million, right? Probably just over 500,000, just over 10,000. Sorry, my focus is getting messed up. And then just over 2,000. Actually almost 3,000, right? So we add all those up, and then we get our final read from these 2 meters, and that would tell us the cubic feet of gas that we have used. Alright, so of course can't end the video saying something that is wrong. So in the last frame I just said that would tell us how much gas has been used, and that's not correct. We actually have to do one quick little math problem. We would subtract the previous meter reading from the current meter reading, and in that span of time, that would tell us how much gas we've used. In that span of time, you would divide it out either per month, per day, per year, whatever math you're looking for. We could divide out those cubic feet used by however much amount of time that we would want. And that is your gas meter. Let's move on to, what's the next one here probably? Electric? Alright guys, so then this is going to be our electric meter, and you're going to see that it is actually flashing. I'm kind of cycling through 3 different readouts. Those 3 readouts are essentially giving the 3 different amounts of kilowatt hours that are being pulled. I would guess they probably have this wired up to do my AC and or my HVAC system like separately, so we would know how much energy is just being pulled for heating and cooling purposes, and then the rest of the house being pulled as well. So you'll see the dial, or not the dials. Unlike the gas meter, this one does not have dials. It has a digital readout display, so pretty accurate these days. Somebody from AEP or one of those utility companies can just walk up, check which reading they're looking for, and figure out the number of kilowatt hours. And you'll notice at the bottom here, we'll see if we can get real close and zoomed in. It says kilowatts, or when it flashes back around, it'll say kilowatt per hour. Right there. So kilowatt hours, or kilowatts, is how we measure the amount of electricity that we've used. Alright, and the meter we're going to finish with here outside is going to be our water meter. As you can tell, mine is a little difficult to see, so I'm going to move the camera here in just a moment. But just like the other meters, it tells us what it's measured in. So this one is going to be cubic feet of water. You can see right there below the numbers. And if we get in close, you'll see that a couple of the numbers at the end, those are sort of like our decimal places. So I'd have to double check on some things. Again, like I said in previous videos, I am not a professional. You can consult the professionals. I'm just giving you really basic information for like what you should know before you leave your house. So the interesting thing about the water meter is we have one inside and one outside. So this one looks like it's reading 1722.3. So probably 1722.3. And let's run inside and see if the water meter inside has a similar reading, because if not, there's an issue and I would need to contact the utility company. Alright, so here's the interesting thing, guys. This point in the wall is not where my water meter actually exists on the outside of the house. And this is why you're going to find a meter on the inside of your house and the outside of your house. It's probably a good 20 to 30 feet between where my water meter on the outside of the house exists and where the water actually comes into my house and all that foam stuff in there is insulation foam that I've sprayed in there. It's called Great Stuff, and that's to make sure that, you know, no bugs or anything can get in that hole through the cinder block foundation wall where your plumbing comes into the house. So that's all, everything way back there. But if we look right here, this is going to be the inside water meter that we just talked about outside. So if I can get the camera down close to here, if you remember that number from the outside that we were looking for of 1,722 3/10, don't know if we can get the camera to focus in here and see that, in fact, we do have that same number here inside. It's hard to see the thousands place here inside, but actually this meter is a lot more accurate than the one outside. So, you know, if your mom or dad was giving you a hard time about how long of a shower you take and how much water you're using, they could actually come down here and measure the amount of water that you use when you take your shower. This also goes into these conversations that we have at school involving efficiency, right? So if you get a high efficiency shower head, it's going to put out less water per minute, which is why this is not a measurement involving time. It's just cubic feet, because cubic feet is just volume. So be careful when your parents talk about how much water you use and everything else. If they ask me, I would tell them they can actually, you know, they can actually gauge how much water you use. You take the measurement before the shower, take the measurement after the shower, or whatever you do, watering the grass, watering the garden. You can actually check how much water you use. So notice that 2 at the end, the first one, the white number in the black background, that's the amount of accuracy that it shows outside. Everything beyond that is even more accurate than what outside shows. And then this little dial here is even more accurate than that. So yeah, just some interesting things about how to read your water meter.